Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another tying session. I've been looking forward to this because, well, today it's been quite a challenge for me to make these two flies. I've had to practice a bit because even though it's just basically a craft for shrimp, the first of them, and the second one is a fly that I've tied and used a lot and fished a lot with. Still, it's some flies that are very good, but also they are a bit more technique than maybe a lot of the other things I've done so far. So I'm not sure if we can stick to the time schedule. Maybe we will go a bit more than an hour, but who knows? And uh, and as always, before we start, I would really appreciate it if you would tell me if the audio is nice, and if the quality of the video is clear, and you can see stuff. So basically, I've put the first fly here, and so I have the two different cameras, and I would like to hear if everything is okay. And as I said before, there is a bit of a lag, so that means there is about 10 seconds or so before I see before I actually see your comments. So I'm just gonna stall a bit. The first fly we're gonna tie today is this one. It's a shrimp pattern that basically is fairly inexpensive because it has not the spay hackles, but it has, well, the closest thing to the spay hackles. It has it has a kind of like a hackle, but made from craft fur. And I'm just gonna link to in the chat here. If you see the chat, if you see the chat on your screen or whatever you're watching this, then I've just added a link, so you can see a link to where you can buy the materials for this fly. Basically, I see that people are tuning in and stuff like that, so I'm just gonna small talk a bit more for a couple of minutes more to make sure that everyone is there. Since last Thursday, regretfully, I've not had time to go fishing. There's a lot of stuff going on with the shop and with my teaching and stuff like that. So, and also the weather in Denmark is crap. So I've tied some flies and planned the next couple of live streams, which I'm pretty sure is gonna be pretty awesome. Um, I'm just gonna see. As always, if you haven't already, then please join the group. It's called Livestream Flytying on Facebook. I've not done so far because the group is not that big. But as soon as the audience and the members will grow there, I will of course use this use that platform to actually hear what types of flies and basically also what types of patterns you would like to see, or if we should expand this to not only include fly tying, but maybe also include tying knots and putting gear together and stuff like that, or even basically a full talk about, for instance, how to fish for sea trout or something like that, kind of like a whole lesson about that stuff like that. So look up the live stream fly tying on Facebook, and please join there. So I see about 50 people have tuned in now. I think it's probably time to start tying. Yeah, probably is. Again, hello all. It's very nice to see you tune in. And my shop website is this, Justin. Just gonna show you here. It's called Flytying.eu. So if you want to join the shop or see the shop, here it is. Out in the chat. In the chat, the things I'm writing is the one with the crown. I think that's quite great. Well, Moritz Hambeck. I'm basically targeting any fish that swims. I've been fishing for salmon, sea trout, pike, perch, tropical fishing, carp. I've targeted, whatever there is basically what I target. The king. I don't know what. Yeah, probably right. That's probably why I have a crown. I think it's to recognize me a bit more easily out in the chat. But basically, let's switch back to what it's all about. The first pattern is this one. And as I said, it's I've linked to it in the chat as well, to the material to this. We're not going to use that many materials. A hook, of course, and I'm going to take one of those. If you don't know these are pretty cool. These are magnetic hook dispensers, and then, well, I have a bunch of those because it's easier than having all the packages lying around. So basically, I'm going to add a hook. This is an Ahrex hook. And today we're going to use, I'm going to do this fairly slowly so you can all follow. Also know that this tutorial is going to be online as an individual video in both Danish and English as well. We're going to use some wire, then we're going to use some teal feathers, some pink dubbing, some copper dubbing, and then finally some craft hair. So basically, oh, and some eyes, of course, some easy shrimp eyes. So basically, 5 fairly simple materials, and of course these dubbings can be switched out and stuff like that with whatever you have. These can be swapped with grizzly marabou and stuff like that. But basically that's the name of the game. A fairly inexpensive, but one part of this fly is a bit tricky. Basically, I take my thread here. Hello there from southern Denmark, from Sønderjylland. Moin moin. And I use a white thread because that will go great with the tan color here. Today actually I have both. I've just not poured any of it, so I'm gonna have some Coke in one glass, and I'm gonna pour the god damn it. Let's pour the beer before it gets too hot. Thank you for reminding me. So basically, as I was saying, I'm gonna use the white tang thread. Oh, I did a terrible job of this. Too much foam. Basically, I use the white tang thread in order for this thread to be see-through. Because I do not want a black thread to mess the pattern up. So I'm gonna take my scissor, if I can locate it. I had it just a minute ago. You know how it is. There it is. Cut that off. And basically, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna tie a tail on this, and for that I'm gonna use some teal. Just, you know, a single feather of teal here. It has some nice teal. Teal is a nice feathers. They have some nice striations and stuff like that. I mean, particular patterns you're doing now. Okay, particular patterns I'm doing now, if you haven't seen them, is this one. The first is a shrimp pattern made from craft fur, and the second one I'm gonna do is a muddler sunker in black. I'm gonna show you that right now. This one. It's called the Munker, which is a very nice fly. I've caught a lot of trouts on those. So basically, that's it for today. A salmon, sea trout pattern, and a shrimp. Okay, so back to this one. The first thing. Oh, before I'm gonna apply the teal here, I'm just gonna take some of this non-lead wire, or if you're not in Denmark, you can use lead wire. And basically, I'm just gonna add this to this because this shrimp is gonna be fairly uniform. It's not gonna have carapace and stuff like that because, well, basically, I think that's a waste of time and just a process that actually makes your fly more expensive without making them better fishing flies. So we're gonna skip that. So we're going to do this in order for you to be able to fish this very fast, very rapid, even on a floating line. And when I fish shrimps and stuff like this, I fish them very fast. Okay, back to tying. So I take my teal feather here. On Newfoundland, nice as well. It's pretty damn far away. So basically, I take my teal feather here, and I try to get this to be something that is fairly uniform in length. And I tie this onto the hook here. As I said, this is an Ahrex stinger hook. Oh, damn, that was a bit too much. I pulled a bit too much on this. So, you do not want a too long tail. So something in that order. I think I want a bit more tail, so I'm just going to take another feather and do kind of like the same thing here. Just taking some of the... this time I'm just going to take the hackle fibers here, try to make them even in length, and cut them off like so. And as I was saying, this shrimp is meant to be an an alternative to the spay feathers, because you can do shrimps with craft fur instead of spay feathers. It's more tricky and not as good as the spay feathers, but it's the best, the thing that comes closest to it. Oh, that was I needed that. I've had a long day of teaching. First, I taught 4 hours of physics, about half times of atoms, of radioactive atoms, and what that means. And then after that, I had 2 straight hours of floorball. You know, the hockey where you're using, and yeah, that was just, oh, I love that. That simply was just, it's very very hard because you move that much. It really really is an intense game, but man, it's great. Um, and then my wife has gone to visit a friend, so I'm alone with my son. So I hope he does not wake. If he does, I have to I have to skip this and go check on him. But yeah. So basically that's it. Then I'm gonna take some of the pink dubbing here. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Papa Basque, for clarifying. And if you see an answer out here in that applies to all of you. If you see a question out here that you're sure you can answer, and something that I've not noticed because I have a lot of things going on, then please feel free to help each other out. I really really think that would be cool. If you can answer a question that somehow I haven't noticed, it's not out of spite. If I don't notice your question, it's simply because there is a lot going out in the chat, and I'm tying and explaining and stuff like that. Then please feel free. Anyone else to join in and to offer guidance, that would be great. So I'm gonna take some pink dubbing now, just a tiny amount, not very much. I really like this sinew fusion dubbing. It's extremely intense and vibrant in the colors. This is called Pink Lady, I think. And it's important. I think this actually was a bit too much. I'm going to take a little of that off because I do not want a too large bulk here. I simply just want something to add a bit of contrast, just here where the tail is, like so. Then I'm going to take my shrimp eyes, and of course these are going to be pink. I don't have any pink there. Luckily I have the bundle over here, so I'm just going to... What? Ah, good. So as I was saying, easy shrimp eyes. That is the stuff. Is the fly too far away? Is that okay? The distance to the fly, is that okay, or is it too far away? Can you see what I'm doing? Hi, hello from Scotland, George. My favorite sea trout fly fishing with Dylan is well, it is the pattegrisen, without a doubt. That is the fly I'm fishing the most with. So basically, I take this and I tie it here, attach it here, so my eyes are sticking out on the sides, as you can see there. I'm gonna cut off the stump, or the whatever you call that thing that's there, and I'm gonna adjust these so they're gonna be in the right position. I'm gonna go a bit closer to the dubbing here, like so. So basically you have the tail in the middle, as you can see, and then you have the two eyes sticking out. Used them, guys. It's perfect. Okay, great. And now, is time to take some of this. And if you don't know what this is, then you really should, because it's a fairly inexpensive material. It's extremely lively, and it has just simply a ton of applications. Basically, what I do, and I'm going to show you that on the bigger screen here. Basically, what I do is it's kind of like a piece of rug or something like that, a piece of Donald Trump's hair. See? There it is. I'm the Donald now. I'm sorry about that. I just couldn't resist. I should probably have gotten another color if it should match perfectly. But so basically, I take a bundle of this and try to take something out like so. So I have located a good piece of this, and then basically I'm going to cut this off as close to the rug as possible. You can see I've cut a lot of those off there. And basically, then you have something like this. It could um, kind of like resemble a mustache, but we don't need. There is a lot of big stuff down here. So basically, I'm gonna take all of that off, pull this out here. The trump fly, yeah. This really is good. It can probably trump a lot of trout. A lot of trout. That was what I was going to say. Um, so basically, I take all of this. I simply just pull all the crappy woolly part down here because I don't need that, and then I take a look to see if this is, well, as not completely even in length, but almost. You see, this is actually kind of good, and I think perhaps this is a bit too much. So I'm gonna hold here in a bit further out, and then I'm gonna pull out again because then I'm gonna get a lot of the shorter, not completely full length fibers out, and that will help minimize and optimize my wing here. So basically, I think the amount I have here is great. And with fly tying, one of the most, I'm gonna take a bit more out, bit more. One of the most difficult things to learn is actually to manage and distribute and evaluate the amount of materials that you're gonna use. And basically, this is what I think is okay for this. This is a fairly big hook. So I'm gonna take this, and then I'm gonna try to get it to be all the way around the hook here. I'm gonna hold it all, and then I'm gonna make two loose turns, because when I pull on this, then it will be pulled on all the directions at once. I'm gonna see if this actually is as I want it to be, and it is. And then I'm gonna use some force to actually tie this, fasten this. And basically, there you have your tail. And if that gets a bit in the way, you can always just take some saliva here and just pull it into shape, because then it's gonna stand, then it's gonna be there, be in line. Just gonna tie this a bit further up here till I get to where the non-lead wire is, about that, and then I'm gonna cut off all this stuff here because we don't need that. Of course, if you want the shrimp to have a longer tail kind of thing, you can just do that. If you want it to be shorter, you can do that as well. But I actually find that these bigger shrimps are very, very good. Also because they often are good for a bit larger size trout. But even smaller ones can go for fairly big flies. So basically, I'm just gonna do some tying thread over everything, like this. Okay, so far so good. And I'm not gonna do a rip on this one. You could do that if you like, but since it's gonna be inside a dubbing loop, then it's gonna be fairly strong. And of course, add the ribbing if you like. I'm not gonna do that on this fly, but what I am gonna do is I'm gonna do a dubbing loop here, because basically, if you don't know what that is, I'm gonna double the thread, tie on top of the thread, and so because it's when you do that, it's fairly open in the bottom. What I do is I take my thread, and then I pull it all one time around, because then I can pull my dubbing loop exactly down where I want it to be, and I have a dubbing loop that is completely closed down here now. So, hello from Canada. Ah, well, Repman222 asked me on Facebook regarding the connection of the shooting head and the shooting line, because well, that depends on a lot of varying factors. Hello again, Barry. Nice to see you. It's nice you get to know people actually here. Well, basically, with that done, I'm gonna do the body now. And for the body, I'm gonna use a copperish type of dubbing. You can easily use the one you're using for, let's say, a koabassen, if you know that one, the copper bug, which is kind of like a world famous Danish fly. At least it's world famous in well, well in Denmark. But it's a nice fly, and it consists only of this, and this adds a lot of nice nice sparks and stuff like that. I use the Flytying.eu dubbing for this one, Flytying.eu dubbing. So basically, and I want, of course, this shrimp to taper, to taper in when I tie it. So I'm gonna have it a bit more bulky up towards the eyes, and then best hour of the week. Thank you very much, David. Really appreciate it. And then I'm gonna apply more and more dubbing as I go down towards the eye here. So basically, as you see, this is fairly easy. It's simply just to rinse and repeat, add some dubbing, uh, funnel it or mesh it onto the thread, or whatever the correct term for what I'm doing there is. And basically just, take small steps, use a fairly small amount of dubbing in order to make this good. So take a small amount of dubbing each time, and just do many steps, and that's a good key rule for yeah, for tying any type of fly. Simply to use a small amount of material. It's better if something you can do in more step than one, then do that in more step than one, because there's a higher chance of you actually making something that you really like. So so basically, as you can see here, I have made my Flytying.eu dubbing body here. I'm just gonna add a bit more here out in the front, like so. And as I said last time, if you like this, then I really would appreciate it if you help share. You can simply just share the video after it's done, take it from YouTube and share it, and tell people about it. That would mean a lot, because I would like to I think it's very fun, and I like it, but I would like to have as many people join this as possible, because I'm having fun, and it seems to sound like you are having too, and I would like this to really grow. Yeah. So please share this around. Okay. With that being done, then now it's time to do the hardest part of this fly. We're gonna actually do put some craft fur inside this dubbing loop. So basically as before, I take my craft fur here, and then I locate a bundle of craft fur, something like. And I need about as much as last time. This is kind of like the hairs on those troll dolls, small troll dolls you could. I don't know if this was only a Scandinavian thing or something. It was also a children's movie not that long ago. And basically, I do exactly the same as before. I take this, and then I pull out all the crap here, because we will not be needing that. Like so. I'm going to change the camera angle again. And then I have this. And now I need it to be fairly uniform. So I'm gonna hold here, and then I'm gonna hold I'm gonna hold a bit loose, and then I'm gonna take all the longest, and I'm gonna redistribute it and re-add them, so that the general length here is not completely uniform, but it's approaching uniformness, like that. Then now it's time to decide how big my hackle should be. And I think this is probably a bit too much. So I'm gonna say about this. A good guidance is from the eye to where the tail ends. That's a good guidance rule. So I'm gonna change hands, and then I'm gonna cut completely off in almost one smooth cut with my scissor. So now I have a small bundle, which is approximately the same size as from the eye to the tip of my tail. And before you do the next step, be sure you know where your dubbing loop tool is, because otherwise you will be in troubles. You will have troubles. So what I do now is I have my dubbing loop. And the way I use this is I have my pointing finger, or whatever this, my gun finger, whatever you want to call this, and I use this to simply control the dubbing loop. And then I take this finger, and I'm sorry about that, but I don't know what that is. That is the longest finger In Danish, I think it's called langemand. And this you use to open the double loop, or to keep it closed by pushing down on top here. Well, tricks are great, I think. So now I take my craft fur, and I place it inside my dubbing loop, and then I close my dubbing loop with my longest finger, like so. And then I distribute this. So I'm gonna distribute it, so it's gonna come out and be on a longer part of this dubbing loop. You can see it's gonna come more out, and I'm gonna have it even be more distributed here than this, because this is gonna be my hackle. Basically, now I'm pleased with it, because now it's approximately the same length as you know, a hackle would be if it were a spay hackle or something like that. But now I need this, in order for this fly to be nice, I need to push without blowing too much. I need to push these fibers longer into the dubbing loop, and here you need a steady hand. The closer you can get the fibers here, to the dubbing loop, the better looking fly you will have. And this can be quite difficult. So it takes quite a subtle hand, this process. The closer you can get, yes, the better. And I'm not gonna chance it anymore. I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead and say that is good enough. Then I'm gonna take my dubbing tool here, and as I said, this part here can be rather annoying. Let's go with that word. And then I'm gonna spin this, because as you can see now with the dubbing loop, it is more because of all the tiny stumps here. If I had those too long, I would have a very furry, very bushy, crappy looking dubbing brush, and I'm completely free of that. And what I have now is something that is very lively in the water, and a great looking hackle. Basically, then I'm just gonna turn this. I want a bit more down towards the eyes and the end of this fly. So basically, I'm just gonna make a complete turn there, and then otherwise I'm gonna use this as exactly as you use a hackle. See how nice that looks. And basically, I actually did this to perfection. I'm sorry to say that, but that really was good, because I'm at the eye now, and I don't have any more hackle fibers. So I'm gonna hold everything back here, and then I'm gonna tie my dubbing loop down like this. I'm gonna cut this off my dubbing loop like so. Gonna fold everything back here. I'm gonna make a small, nice little head up there. Gonna take and do my whip finish. Oh, and I'm right on time, you see? 2028. Right on schedule. Oh, that's nice at least. Cut off. And then basically what you need to do is you need to take your whatever you have of dubbing brush, and then you need to force this backwards. Kind of like you would with a hackle. You're gonna pull out all this. Well, Jonas, if you cut the fibers after, I think there is a lot. I've tried many times that the fibers simply fall out of the dubbing loop. So basically, I think, at least for me, if you're doing the other thing and that works good for you, then of course do that. But for me, at least, I think this way I'm doing it now is the thing I've had the highest success with. Of course, the fibers fall out of my dubbing loop also from time to time. Luckily, not today. But this is the way I've had the biggest luck with this. You can also use one of the Mark Petitian magic tools. That would be a pretty good idea for this, actually. I don't know why I didn't do that. If you have a magic tool and know how that is used, then definitely that would be a nice addition for this. What I'm doing now is basically just, you know, taking pulling out some dubbing to get some of these bronzy coppery fiber here mixed in with my craft fur hackle, um, to get that kind of shrimp halo effect, transparency effect. And then I'm just gonna take all of this and I'm gonna brush it back. And as soon as you have the dubbing in here, it will help you to get these fibers in line, get them in place. And well, just gonna add a bit of saliva, not much, but only a bit. And as you can see, I have some small shorter craft fur stumps or whatever you want to call them that are sticking out here. But that actually looks very nice as well. So basically, this is without a doubt, I would say the most realistic way of doing a spay hackle without having the spay feathers. This is the closest thing to the pattegrisen you can come without actually using the spay feathers. So, okay, Jonas. Yeah, it sucks. It's really important that you use the two fingers correctly. You use the pointing finger to keep the loop open, and then you use the other one to really mash down on there. And it can be an advantage if you pull it upwards. Also, I don't know, simply just, yeah, but yeah, you know. Well, I think I'm gonna toast for a fly well done. And this pattern really is a killer. I could imagine that this would be great for redfish and probably for bonefish as well and stuff like that. Any type of saltwater fish that eats shrimps. But in Danish this is gonna be good for mackerel. It's gonna be very good for sea trout and you know, cod and stuff like that. Whatever you want to throw something at that's feeding on sea bass as well, on shrimps. Ah, that was nice. So a nice fly, and I hope you can see how nice the copper dubbing here really looks on this shrimp. You can see it there from from the top. That looks deadly, doesn't it? Really does. So. Oh, thank you, Dave, for mentioning me on Instagram. Actually, ouch! Damn it! I'm gonna bleed now. Crap. Yeah, that's how things can go. Okay. So basically, if you have any questions, any sort of questions about how to fish this, I can easily just, you know, say a few things about how to fish this fly. I would use this fly probably on an intermediate or a floating glide for sea trout, and I would fish it fast, you know, with the rod under the arm and strip with both hands, stripping with both hands into the stripping basket, and then I would do some stops. So basically 1 or 2 meters, stop very shortly, 1 or 2 meters, stop very shortly, and then move very fast along the coast, so my fly fishes through a lot of water. And basically that's the way I'm fishing my flies, you know, almost all the time. I really like that. Of course, now I'm these days I'm in my pontoon boat, so I'm not gonna walk on the shore, but I'm gonna fish probably where I would be waiting anyway. From my pontoon boat, just yeah, just from my. It's coming for you. Okay, so I can see I've misplaced my tube fly needle, and I need that for the next fly, so I'm just gonna have to open one. Yes. Oh, I did something very terrible. Last time I was tying tube fly needles, tying tube flies. I had this, you know, I really love my vise here. So for some reason I hadn't attached this correctly, so I slammed it here, and then it scratched all the way up this very nice black finish, and you know, completely just mangled and disfigured my vise. Really Yeah, that hurt. That actually hurt. Oh well, you know, we win some, lose some. It is getting a bit hot here, I think, with all the lights, but you know, that's life. So for this next pattern, um, I'm gonna do a tube fly, and another thing I would like to mention. Oh, I'm just gonna link here while you're. I'm just gonna link to the Facebook group about the live stream. So check out the chat now, and if you haven't, then before we start this, please log on to Facebook and join that group, because on that group we're gonna be, as I said before, we're gonna be talking a lot about patterns, and you can help deciding what types of patterns and stuff like that you would like to see here, because this is something that I'm gonna do probably all the way to to April, something like that. On April, in the middle of April, the salmon fishing is gonna open, and then I'm gonna go fishing instead of tying flies for some time. But so please join there. Yeah, you could also use a black marker to make some striations on patterns like that. Oh, Shell Åge Røgsjø. It starts in the middle of April, actually. I forgot if it's on the 15th or the 16th, but I'm pretty sure that some people who are watching here will know exactly what date it is. I just know that I have taken the whole week off. That after that weekend where the opening date is, and I'm gonna be salmon fishing. Salmon fishing, salmon fishing, salmon fishing, and it's very possible, very likely that I'm actually gonna use this one. And this is also what I want to show you. This is the one of the two types of tube fly boxes from CF Design. They're very cool. You can have your hooks here and your beads for the your beads for, oh, I can't do that with them open. Your beads for not having the wing getting attached to the double hook. You can have your swing tubes, and then of course all your flies here. So I'm just gonna take the fly we're gonna do today. I'll put it into the vise so you can see it. This is called the Munker, and this is a fly that, at least as it appears here, as it is here, was invented by a Danish guy whose name is Kim Sørensen, and he is really a tremendous cool guy. I made a complete video about this fly that I would urge you to see, because it has a lot of salmon in there. I went to Storåen for the first time fishing for salmon, and I was very skeptic because I've had a lot of difficulty with salmon. And then on this day, Kim showed me a trick or two, and within 10 minutes, 15 minutes of us having started to fish, I hooked and landed my first ever Danish salmon. And since then, you know, I was just lost, because that's what salmon do. Yeah, you get lost when you're fishing for salmon. I like the phrase from the Eagle song very much when I think about salmon. That goes something. It's from Hotel California. That goes something like this. You can check out anytime you like it, but you can never leave. And I really think, to me that sums up how salmon fishing is, because no matter where you go, it never leaves you. It haunts you, you know. Those big shiny silver torpedoes, they at least they haunt me. But of course, I'm also haunted by pike and sea trouts and brown trouts and grayling and, you know, bonefish and tarpon. So basically, I'm pretty haunted, I would say. But that's okay. That's okay. I manage. Okay, I think that was enough ranting for now. But now, I've not tried the monkers on the coastline, but probably you could do that. I mean, this would be a great night fly. I've used these for sea trout in smaller streams as well, with great success, especially this black one. It's a fairly simple tube fly, so well, basically let's get started. I take a Future Fly tube, and I tie most of my tube flies on the Future Fly system. I like that. It's pretty cool, pretty diverse. You can have a lot of different things and stuff like that you can add on there. So basically, I like it very much. I take a thin inner tube, and then I heat the end here, so it gets a bit bulky, like so. You can see now it has kind of like a cone down there, and then I'm gonna add this to the needle here, and this is actually not a Future Fly needle. This is a Pro needle, a Pro Sportsfisher needle, and I really like that because it's stronger than the Future Fly, so it does not break over time, and you can have some problems with. I've had some problems with the future fly needle, at least that one broke. So I use this one, the Pro. I'm gonna do it a bit different today because I saw some nice trick that Kim was doing with his monkers. This is a new fiber from Future Fly. I do not have this in the shop as of now, but it's on its way. It's very fluorescent and really nice and thin here. And compared to other materials of this sort, there is about 4 or 5 times as much in a package here as there is in the others. But I know that this stuff has been shipped from Future Fly to me today, so probably it will be online in the shop over the weekend or something like that. Just gonna link you the link to this fly, to this material kit here, before we start this. There it is. 1 second. So out here in the chat, you can see a complete material list for this fly. So basically, I'm going to take these nice fluorescent fibers here, and I'm going to do these as a tail. I'm going to tie these on top of the tube here, like so. I'm going to cut them off like that, and then I'm gonna ah. That was not what I was going to do. My intention was not to actually pull it out of course, like so. Use a bit more force because I want this to taper. So I'm gonna cut this like so, but that's a bit too long for me. So I'm holding my scissor, and it's important that you have a sharp scissor when you do that. So I'm gonna cut it like so it tapers. I'm gonna cut away all this. We don't need that. Like so. And then I'm gonna do it with finish. The one I've done so far has actually been red, but today I thought, what the hell, I'm gonna do one in pink. So like that, and then I'm gonna take some Future Fly beads, and the ones I'm gonna do now is because I don't have any pink. I'm gonna use some that is rainbow because they are actually rather pink. I'm gonna take the two I can find here that's probably a bit more pink than the others. And this rainbow color it's a bit crazy, but actually quite nice. And then I'm gonna add those here, like that. This is in order to give this weight, because we want this fly to be a fly that is gonna fish deep. And to ensure that this stays in place exactly where we put it, just gonna add some super glue, some Sabagap. Like that. Okay. And then I'm gonna tie in front of this. This fly is meant to be rather bulky, to move some water, but also to fish fairly deep, because the river where it's intended to fish is called is a river in Denmark that's called the Storå, and that is a fairly deep water. So so this is meant to be often when we fish this, most often we use a sinking line, and then basically. In order to get this down, we use these two metal balls to make sure it gets down, whilst still being fairly bulky with the muddler head, in order for this to actually move some water and for this fly to be easier to locate for a salmon or a sea trout in a bit murky water. Okay. Next up is some mylar tubing, and the important thing about this mylar tubing is it has to be the mirror opal one, which is the most shiny one of these. The ordinary pearl is not as crazy as this is in the water, but also this is more soft. The one you can get from Hedron is more soft. So basically this is more alive in the water. And I simply just take this tube here, removes the inner tube, and just add this here. So this is gonna look somewhat like a hackle, like that. And if you really want this to be to to really look crazy, you can simply just cut off here, and you can take this and turn it around and add that as well. I don't know if, yeah, why not? Let's go all in all the time, like so. So basically now it's very shiny, probably good for night fishing, like that. And the next thing we're gonna do is actually the sunker wing. And in order to do the sunker wing, I'm just gonna try to see if this will work. So now I have this camera, and I'm gonna move all this crap I have lying around here, and then I'm gonna try to do this. So basically, what I need to do is I need to take these, which are a future fly tool for holding fur. And in order for you to see better, I'm going to show you how to cut a sunker wing. So I'm going to have this white paper underneath here. I hope it does. This is the, are you able to see what I'm actually doing now, you think? And then into these, I'm gonna attach a piece of future fly American opossum. And in order for you to see what's going on here, yeah, you can tie them without. If you fish for shallow water, yeah, of course, tied without the beads. You know, you can use any, use just some dubbing, some buddy dubbing, a buddy of dubbing or something like that. Well, basically, what I need to do now is to take my tool here, and I have to do this upside down now. Because I have to show you how I do this. So I take this and I pull it, and then I take my scalpel. This is a knife specially designed for cutting fur, and then I cut first. I'm gonna reattach it. First, I cut a fairly. Let me see. I'm gonna use the other side here. Then I'm gonna cut a fairly broad piece of, and this is not as easy as it. This is more easy if I do not have to demonstrate this. So basically, I take my tool here and I cut a fairly wide piece of skin. You see, and then I'm going to cut it off up there, like that. I'm going to put this to the side because this, of course, can be used for other wings. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to have the perfect wing here. And then I reattach this broader piece of skin here, like so. Damn, this is difficult doing like so. And then I'm gonna start up here, and then I'm gonna taper this, so it's gonna be gradually become thinner, without, of course, cutting my hands. That would be the ideal thing. Okay. So basically, if you can see now, I have a wing here. I'm gonna show you when I take this up to. Basically, what I did was to get a wing. That that tapers. You see? You see, it's very thin here, and then it becomes broader and broader up here because this will give the optimal movement in the water. So basically, I have a wing here that tapers. Is that possible to see? Please let me know if this is working out in the chat, because you know I had to do something a bit makeshift. Otherwise, if you look on my channel, if you look on my channel, I will have a complete video that actually very thoroughly explains how this is done. Okay, so back to the fly. So I now have this opossum here, and then I'm gonna tie this on top here, like so. Whoa. Okay, of course I need to move the vise so you can actually see what the heck I'm doing. Otherwise, it's not that fun. I think I'm gonna have to have my waste basket back here. Feels empty without it. So basically, what I was saying is I take my sunker here, and of course, if you have pre-cut sunkers, you need to cut those out. You need to taper those as well, because that really will help your sunkers become a hell of a lot more alive in the water. So basically, I've tied it on top here, and then I'm gonna use my scalpel, and for this I'm gonna use a regular scalpel if I can locate it. It's a bit messy here, because if I use this one, I'm gonna probably cut the tool, cut the tube. So apply a lot of pressure, and then I'm just gonna take the scissor. This is a sharp scissor. It probably will do the trick. As close to the point where you tied all of this down as you can get. So a good and sharp scissor. This is also a future fly scissor. A scissor I'm fairly fond of, and the one I'm using most now because I wrecked my Chimco. Yeah, you know, some tools are just not meant for me, I think. Should actually move that away. So far so good. It actually looks very nice with the tail there. Now I'm gonna add some eyes, and I'm gonna use some pink eyes as well. Is this sharp enough? Is the image sharp? Yeah, I'm drinking Heineken. Yeah. Why, Christian? Just forgot to drink it. David, nice comment. I was not hoping to actually make a thriller out of this, but you know, it's nice. It's nice to know that you were in a safe place while I did that. Great to hear that. Okay, so I'm gonna take some easy shrimp eyes, and in pink as well, because the rest of this fly I've done in pink. So these are gonna be in pink as well, and I'm gonna tie these down here, so they actually are, you know, coming out on each side of this, like that. That looks good. Cut off the stalk there, and again, really gonna apply some pressure in order for this to be completely fastened, like that. And now comes one of the tricky part. Now you have to. Oh, I'm just gonna add a bit of angel hair in reddish black. You can of course use pink if you prefer it, or something like that. This will add a nice effect to this fly. So I'm just gonna take a small bundle of this. And cut off all the crap I don't need. And then I'm gonna try to distribute this as evenly as I can on top of the fly here, like so, without getting too much of that other stuff in the way. This is a bit too long, so basically just gonna cut a small part of it off, like so. And then I'm gonna just use one more turn of thread. Then I'm gonna take the entire fly here out of the vise, and then I'm gonna cut the tube. Because the trick here is if you cut the tube now, you will not have too much space to make your popper head. Not your popper head, your muddler head. and it's really crucial that you do not have too much space here. So about, I would say, 2 millimeters, something like that, in front of where you've tied all the other stuff down. And then I'm gonna make my I'm gonna take the lighter and make sure that this folds backwards like that. And as you can see now, I don't have too much room, and that's really important. But if you have too little room, then you are basically, I did that in a video I tried to make about this fly, and I had to redo the whole thing. So really important to pay attention here and to do this in the right way. Now the last thing that this fly needs is, of course, the muddler head. So I take some deer hair to make the muddler head in black. Daniel drikker Heineken. Yeah, so what? Is there something wrong with Heineken? He's teasing me. Husk nu din Tuborg. Why should I drink Tuborg? Okay, and then I take this and I try to distribute this all the way around. Again, all the way around. Hold everything back. Make one turn that is loose, and then tie down. So I actually apply the pressure after I've thread all the way around this, like so. I see some of those. Oh, that's actually fairly nice. That's the first part. Then I'm gonna use a bit more thread here, like so, to make this last, to make this strong. And then I'm gonna fold all of this backwards. All fold it back here. I'm gonna take my thread and move it onto the tube here, and then I'm gonna do another part of another bundle of deer hair. Whew. I really had my troubles with this fly in the beginning, and I really must say that Kim, you made this fly, and I've seen you tie these, and you really make these looks easy, and yours are just to die for. They really are so cool. This is one I've got from Kim, one in red, a color combination he also likes, and I never ever can get the head exactly like he does. I get mine in I would call them Daniel style, but they're not Kim style. I'm pleased with them, and I'm happy with the heads for now. But they're not as great as the ones that Kim does. So I'm gonna do like that. The second part here, and then I'm gonna make my whip finish inside the hairs here without getting too many hairs. Gonna pull down, and when you pull down on these deer hair, it's very important that you do not pull down too rapidly, because if you do that, you can very easily cut off. I just used the sharp part of my scissor to just move up there and to cut the thread. You can very easily cut off the hairs, and then you have to apply them all over again. Okay, so now I have basically the fly here. I take it out of the vise once more. I move my vise to the side. I'm gonna use the waste basket at least. Putting my waste. If you don't have a waste basket, then something like this is fairly cheap. Costs around 20 euros, and you will be very pleased to get one of those. I'm gonna send you a link here in the chat to one of those. So if you haven't got one of those, I can only recommend that you get one. 1 second here, just gonna show you. This one, as I said, is fairly inexpensive and really works well. And also, I actually talked to an Indian, no, a Pakistani engineer about how to make these. So I'm fairly pleased with the result of those. But okay, back to tying the fly here. So now you have something that looks like this, fairly big, bulky thing. And the thing about this is, when you cut this, you have to point it towards you. So you see, there is the tip of this fly, and I point it towards myself, and then I only cut upwards. I only cut this way. Do not cut down into the head or from behind or anything. If you do that, then you will completely mess up how this fly will look. I'm just gonna see if I can hold it where you can see it. So as you can see, and then it's better if you take it so you're facing it, and then cut off the hairs here. Of course, you need a good scissor for this. I've put it into a dubbing needle so I can rotate it, and whilst I'm cutting. Is it called while I'm cutting or whilst? I don't know. I think that depends if probably if you're in England or if you're in the US. Probably. I don't know. This way you can completely control how you make the head, and you can look at it as while you go along. And again, the trick here is not to cut too much off at a time. You've spent too much time actually making this fly to fuck this part up. pardon my French or English. So cut off small amounts of hairs, and basically there you have it. This is so going into my box right now, because well, I had some experiences with this last year. I've been fishing a full day, and I knew there was fish because I saw fish jumping and stuff like that, and really it just felt like one of those days. I had a strike in my third cast or something like that didn't pan out, and stuff like that, and then I was losing my faith in the fishing. I've been fishing for 8 hours, something like that, and then I said to myself, oh, I'm gonna fish this stretch. I'm just gonna use the last. This is gonna be the last 200 meters I'm gonna fish, and then I changed to the black one. That was the first time I tried the black one. That was last year, and then in my second cast I got a good sea trout, and in 10 casts later I lost a salmon who took this, and on my way back to the car. There was a small spot, where often it can be pretty nice if you take 1 or 2 casts there, and I took 2 casts there, and I got another sea trout. And since then this black one really followed me. I took this to a small stream, also got 5 sea trouts in an evening, up to 2.5 kilos, something like that, in a small stream. So this really is a nice pattern, and of course you can tie this on a hook as well, but it's going to be a bit difficult to have this actually on the hook, at least if you're using the easy shrimp eyes. You can, of course, I think this will be easier to tie on a hook if you're using a regular jungle cock, but I must say I'm pretty pleased with this color combination with the pink and the black. Pink is just an awesome color for shrimps and for sea trout, but also for salmon. I hope, at least. I've not caught a salmon on something that is pink, but my friend Soren did this summer in Iceland. He caught a lot of salmon on a pink and black, of course, black sunray shadow. I'm just gonna look through the commentary here to see if there's something I missed. Well, Orthian 2K2. The reason why I absolutely have to cut the tube before is because if you don't, I guarantee you, I 100% guarantee you that you will get a muddler head that is too wide, too long, and it really will mess up the proportions of the fly. It's 100% given, at least for me. All the times I've tried this, all the times I was very displeased with the flies, and then I called Kim back and asked him, is there some trick? What the hell am I doing wrong here? And then he said, are you cutting off the tube before? And I did that, and the second I did that, all my heads, well, most of my heads became not as perfect as Kim's, but you know, close enough that I'm satisfied with them, and I'm tying them on my leader, and I believe in the fly in every single cast. So because you know, basically, probably a lot of this is unnecessary to go this much into detail. But for me at least, you know, the fly I always pick in the box is always the one that I think is the most beautiful, has the right proportions, and looks the best, because you know, at, for any type of fly, but especially and particularly for salmon, you know, salmon is the king, and only the best is worthy of the king. So but this is going to be on my leader sooner, yeah, very soon, hopefully. Yeah, you know, probably not going to be the first fly I use, because on in April the water is going to be high and murky and cold, so it's going to be something that's very probably a lot bigger than this, and probably a lot more yellow than this, because yellow is a nice color. But as soon as the water temperature rises a bit, and the water clears a bit, I'm going to use this a lot, and I'm also going to use this a lot for sea trout. Ah, great to hear. So, David, yeah, it really is cool. You know, the future fly stuff. Um, the future fly stuff really is nice. It's without a doubt the future fly hairs are you know, beyond comparison the coolest and the best quality I've ever seen. There's a fairly large amount in the packages, but what's most important about these is the leather. The leather here is just incredibly well prepared and thin and you know, soft, and this really makes a difference, because out in the water these tails, these sunker strips, will be swimming way better than anything else, because of the leather. The most important, the most crucial thing when you're tying sunkers is that the leather here is properly prepared, because that will make or break how lively the tail of the fly will be. Um, ah, nice, Gary. I think you definitely deserve the beer. You know, it's been a long day probably for most of you as well. So, you know, a beer in the evening, this once a week, I don't think that's gonna hurt anyone. Just gonna have a bit of Coca-Cola as well. If you have any questions or anything, I think the session here is done now. But you know, I'm not going anywhere. I don't have anything else to do right now, other than just, you know, cleaning my desk here before I have to pack some orders tomorrow. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. And again, of course, join the Facebook group, live stream fly tying on Facebook, or swing by my shop also if you haven't checked that out. All the fly tying patterns I have on this YouTube channel, I have material kits for them. So you only have to, you know, um, to click one or two times to get the full material kits for these flies. Of course, you probably have some of the materials, and you can of course also just browse for the individual stuff. But it really would mean a lot to me if you swung by my shop. Also, if you haven't, then please subscribe to the channel. I saw today we were very close to 100 people, and that's actually very good. Of course, I would like to, you know, crazy number would be, you know, 1,000 or 500 or something like that. But you know, 100 people is a very good turnout. I'm very pleased with that. So thank you all very much for actually for turning up. You know, tuning in and watching this. I enjoyed immensely to be able to be here, and I try as much as possible to to answer your comments, and feel free to contact me on Facebook or send me an email or anything if you have any questions that you think I might be able to answer. Also, if you have requests for flies you think would suit the YouTube channel, please send me an email, send me a picture of the fly, and I promise you I will look into if that is something that I think would be nice for the YouTube channel. I can't guarantee you that a specific pattern will be there, because I have a fairly long list, and also I have, you know, a lot of considerations and stuff like that regarding materials, because I need to tie flies that can actually have the stuff for in the shop as well. But you know, feel free to reach out and contact me on Facebook. That's always appreciated and would be great. So if you have any questions, you know, ask them here on this live stream, or throw me an email, or a personal message on Facebook. Yeah, thank you, René. Also, no, I've never been. I've only been to UK once, and that was in my capacity as a teacher, who were doing, you know, some with some students and stuff like that. I've never been fishing in the UK. There is a lot of stuff I would like to do in the UK. I really would like to, you know, fish in the chalk streams where fly fishing was born. You know, fish the test or something like that, just for a day. That really would be cool. Also to fish for maybe sea bass. That would be cool as well. But fish for salmon also in Scotland or Ireland would be great. Really great. Oh, you're gonna be 1 week in Denmark near Vilsemme in the middle of April, Felix? Well, in the middle of April, the salmon fishing starts, and near Vilsande is where probably the most famous Danish salmon stream runs into the ocean. It's in Skjern. So if I were you, you can probably get some sea trout there. But if I were you, I would go check that out. Go fish for salmon in Skjern or in Storen, something like that. Um, because there's going to be caught some giants. There are each year on the opening week. Well, my favorite sea trout fly, Bent Magnuson, is pattegrisen, in the salmon pink or grizzly salmon pink variety. That really is a nice fly. But also the Brenda is really good, or the rainbow pig is nice as well. I think those three are the three I'm using the most. Flatwing saniel can be nice, and really good as well. But you know, the pattegrisen is, and the pattegrisen and the Brenda and the coral bass is probably the three flies I use the most. Ah, you only have a 6 weight. Well, Felix, that's probably a bit light to go salmon fishing. But anything is possible. You probably would need some very heavy sinking lines and stuff like that. But from Vilsane, that's I'm not very familiar with the coastal fishing up there, the sea trout fishing up there. It's not near. I've never been fishing up there, but there is an island called Mors in Limfjorden. Oh, that's too far down, I think. Maybe. I must say I'm a bit tired now, so I think I'm messing about in my Danish geography right now. Just leave it at that. But maybe ask Felix, join some of the Scandinavian sea trout groups, or the Danish sea trout groups, and ask around in those, because there are bound to be some people who know stuff. So basically, I think I'll tune in for this evening, but thank you very much again for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing this, so thank you for tuning in, and well, have fun. Good luck fishing.